Why did you say yes to this film? This is a film going in that looks like it has an agenda.
You're not the first one who's saying कि ये शायद agenda driven film है. Agenda है और सिर्फ एक यही है. It's been more than 22 years, Rohini. There is a generation within my own family that unfortunately does not know what happened in 2002.
If it's a propaganda film, I don't want to be a part of it. I remember having that conversation with Vikrant.
A Hindu man runs over a Muslim guy. Two Muslim men fight with a Hindu guy by virtue of social media and this absolute extremist viewpoints. Either it's a left or either it's a right. और एक जो white man syndrome है with regards to 9/11, it shaped global politics.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.
You know, Vikrant, to be honest, when I started out watching reports of the Sabarmati report, I was in two minds whether or not I want to come and talk about this film. Then, of course, I realized that there's you, there's Rashi, there's Riddhi, actors that I have loved and respected over the years, and which is why I said, at least a conversation is important.
बिल्कुल.
और इसी वजह से मैं आज यहाँ पर हूँ just to filmy पर. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. So let's start off with you, Vikrant, and ask you, why did you say yes to this film? Because let me tell you right from the start that this is a film going in that looks like it has an agenda.
No, I completely agree with you. Unfortunately, there is a perception. And one of the reasons why we made this film, and it's unfair to sort of dive into this question without you or anyone for that matter of fact having seen the film yet. But I'm sure एक बार आप ये फिल्म देखेंगी और जब जनता इस फिल्म को देखेगी तब आपको पूरा विश्वास होगा कि एजेंडा है और सिर्फ एक यही है कि इतने साल बीत गए. It's been more than 22 years, Rohini. There is a generation within my own family that unfortunately does not know what happened in 2002. And as you so rightly said, that cinema is such an important part of our culture, of our life. We are an emotional country. But you cannot always have cinema purely for entertainment also. Sometimes you need to inform and entertain at the same time. Why I did this film? There are many reasons why. सबसे पहले तो when I read the script, when I was approached by Ekta for this film, the question I asked myself after the meeting was why not? आज हम बड़े reticent हो गए. आज हम सब, you know, not just as actors or as journalists or as generally as people, by virtue of social media and this absolute extremist viewpoints, either it's a left or either it's a right, we have forgotten certain things at face value or humanitarian grounds. आप चाहे किसी भी सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म पे चली जाइए, either it is left or either it is right.
Correct.
वो सेंटरिज्म, वो बैलेंस सब सबकी जिंदगी से चला गया. हम योग करने की बात करते हैं, बैलेंस ढूंढने की बात करते हैं. हम मेंटल हेल्थ की बात करते हैं, बैलेंस ढूंढने की बात करते हैं. बैलेंस्ड डाइट की बात करते हैं, बैलेंस्ड लाइफ की बात करते हैं, बट बैलेंस्ड व्यू पॉइंट्स की बात नहीं करते हैं. एंड इट्स अबाउट टाइम. One of the reasons why I did this film was because it is such a pivotal point in our modern history. The unfortunate incident that took place on the 27th of February. कि उस चीज़ के बारे में आपने बहुत कम चीज़ें देखी होंगी या सुनी होंगी. What happened after, which was also devastating, which absolutely sort of shaped again, you know, the entire political, social fabric of our country. उसके बारे में बहुतों ने बात की. But nobody spoke about what triggered that. And as we all know, there were multiple viewpoints. There were so many different committees, there were so many different reports. If we run down memory lane, 2002 से लेके खास तौर पे 2007 या 8 तक, nobody knew what actually happened because there were so many differing viewpoints.
Correct.
So with the advantage of hindsight that we have today, which is 22 years, which is almost a generation, we felt that it is a time wherein we can go out, talk about this thing which changed the entire landscape of our country with absolute honesty.
Thank you.
Absolute research, absolute truth. अब उसे बहुत लोग हैं And you're not the first one who's saying कि ये शायद agenda driven film है. बहुत लोगों का unfortunately ये perception है, but we are not afraid of it. We are pretty confident of the fact कि जब आप 15 नवंबर को सिनेमा घरों में आएंगे, आप ये फिल्म देखेंगे. उम्मीद हम ये करते हैं कि आप लेफ्ट, राइट या किसी भी कल्चरल या रिलीजियस लेंस से इसको ना देखें.
I hope so too.
I hope so. We really hope. We are really hopeful about that.
Absolutely.
I'm a father today. I'll just want to culminate on this thing. When we were researching for this film, which is also a part of our film, we've used pretty strong words which go by like this कि उस आग में बहुतों ने अपनी रोटियां सेकी, बहुतों ने,
बिल्कुल.
पर उन 59 लोगों में से किसी को भी 2 लोगों के नाम पता है? Do you know? Can you name 2 people who lost their lives in the train? We can't. So sometimes you have to take a hard stand, and I, as an actor, have always believed in the fact that I want to do something different. I want to go out there and sort of entertain, yes, but also do stuff which people are not comfortable doing. And I want to take it up. You know, I take it up on my chin, and I want to sort of back Sabarmati as I back all the stuff that I've done so far.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. The film is also interesting to me because it also talks about the divide between English and Hindi.
Yes.
Now, all 3 of us, luckily, have been working in, and Rashi, you have worked in more than English and Hindi, right? Riddhi, you also worked in parallel, sort of languages. But ये divide है, और जितनी मैं हिंदी में, सक्षम हूँ, उतनी ही मेरी अंग्रेजी अच्छी है. But do you think that for those who work, just in English or just in Hindi, there is that divide, especially when it comes to news reporting? Because इसका भी एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा है आपकी फिल्म में.
जी.
There is definitely a divide that we feel that is there. I won't deny the fact that even Hindi media, is the media that actually goes on locations, goes out, puts their lives out. I cannot necessarily say that for English media is what I understood while we were doing research for this film. That there were a lot of things that came into light, and one was this, that the divide is really huge. I wasn't aware of it till I entered, and there's so many things apart from the train burning here, especially when we talk about media, that you will see in the film, and it was a revelation to me as well. Like, I didn't know so much about it, but now I know. Yeah.
Amazing. Riddhi, you seem to be playing the sort of slightly more privileged, reporter / editor in this game, right? What were your insights, and did you speak to anybody from our side of the camp?
So luckily, yes, I do have. I have family that's been into reporting. Yeah. I have that little bit of that background.
Correct.
Before I was acting, I was working in a channel. तो आइडिया है मुझे, और मैंने बहुत सारे लोगों से बात भी की who worked with certain people, English media, and worked under people, and how was it back then? उसी time पे, that the same time that we're talking about in the film, उसी time पे कैसा माहौल था, when English media was on the at the brim of, at the top of everything. How was it, and what was the climate in your office, और क्या रहता था, कैसे होता था? So I did all that, and it was very interesting. बहुत मज़ेदार था because बहुत सारी बातें पता चली और कैसे काम होता था. So yeah, definitely वो सब किया. बाकी तो I think research इतनी amazing है हमारी स्टोरी की कि ज़्यादा आप जितने सवाल पूछोगे आपको मिलता ही चला जाएगा. So that's what I did. I just kept asking questions like I always do, और जवाब मिलते चले गए, and we kept creating more and more.
जो on ground reporting है, there is massive disparity, and I'm sure a thread of it you also know, कि जो आपकी regional हिंदी और English तो चलो ठीक है, उनको हम सिर्फ 2 मिनट के लिए साइड में करते हैं. जितने भी आपकी regional media वाले हैं, जो actually आप जिनको so called outsource करते हैं ground पे जाके डेटा लाने के लिए,
बिल्कुल,
उनके बारे में कोई नहीं करता बात. जो दिल्ली से टेलीकास्ट होता है,
बिल्कुल,
और आज भी हमारे दिमाग में ये है, और खास तौर पे जो एक एलिटिस्ट है, जो अंग्रेजी में कहा वो सच है, जो किसी रीजनल भाषा में कह रहा है, जिसने अच्छे कपड़े नहीं पहने हैं, जो अंग्रेजी नहीं बोलता, उस पर आप रिलाई नहीं कर सकते. ये हमारा परसेप्शन बन गया है, एंड इट इज समथिंग दैट हैज बीन बिल्ट ओवर द इयर्स, व्हिच नाउ हैज बिकम अ सेकंड नेचर. तो ऑन ग्राउंड रिपोर्टिंग बहुत सारे दिल्ली वाले आप को उड़ीसा बोल लो या छत्तीसगढ़ बोल लो, या जहाँ पे आपका एक्सेस नहीं, आप रीजनल मीडिया से ही एक्सेस करवाते हैं और डेटा वहां से प्राप्त करते हैं, और आप उसको अपनी स्पष्ट अच्छी पॉलिश्ड भाषा में बोलते हैं, प्रेजेंट करते हैं, उसको अच्छे रैपर में रैप करके देते हैं. So why journalists? Why you see the mic here?
Yeah.
Or why we have said कि the misinformation that was so prevalent
During the time.
it really sort of shaped the way we saw the world outside, or we saw each other for that matter of fact.
100%. It changed an entire country's like perception.
पूरा फैब्रिक
towards- हाँ,
चेंज.
बिल्कुल.
और आज भी वही है. Lastly, I want to say this thing. आप न्यूज़पेपर में 40 पन्ने आते हैं आज की तारीख में, उसमें से 20 में एड्स होते हैं, बाकी खबरें 20 में छपती हैं. आप कोई स्निपेट खोल के देख लीजिए. आज पत्रकारिता भी ऐसी हो गई है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ देयर इज अ मैन हु रन्स ओवर समवन, आप उसको अगले दिन अखबार में कैसे प्रेजेंट करते हैं? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अ हिंदू मैन रन्स ओवर अ मुस्लिम गाय.
Yeah, of course.
2 मुस्लिम मैन फाइट विद अ हिंदू गाय. ये हमने उसको बना दिया है. क्यों? क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं वो बहुत ही ल्यूक्रेटिव है.
100%. बिल्कुल.
उसको हमने उस तरह से कर दिया. क्या हम उन चीज़ों को हटा के हम ये नहीं देख सकते कि एक ड्रंक आदमी था जिसने 2 मासूम लोगों पे गाड़ी चलाई? तो ये सारी चीज़ें हम इस फिल्म के जरिए कहना चाहते हैं. एंड इट इज़ नॉट जस्ट अबाउट रिलीजन. वी स्ट्रिक्टली वांट टू टॉक अबाउट व्हाट हैपेंड देयर. वी स्ट्रिक्टली वांट टू टॉक अबाउट द हिंदी इंग्लिश डिवाइड एंड द रोल ऑफ मीडिया.
What did you learn from this film or through this film?
There's a lot that I learned, starting from. I knew that there was something that had happened in 2002. We all are aware. If you ask anybody, they know कि गोधरा में ये सब हुआ. But you will not know why, how of the whole situation. You must have heard a lot of people talking about it, and like they'll have different opinions about what happened. But there was no absolute truth that I knew of. And हम क्या करते हैं? We go on with our lives. But history is very important because it shapes us into who we are. And when I came into this film, I had this fear that, I don't want, if it's a propaganda film, I don't want to be a part of it. I remember having that conversation with Vikrant, and we were shooting for this other film of ours, Talaakhon Mein Ek, at that time. And because I know him as an actor, and I know he wouldn't ever pick up something that is sensationalizing anything, he said, okay, just trust me because I have read it. You read it, you take your call, but I have read it, and I think this is important that it reaches people. That was his thing in his head at that point. And I understood, and I said, okay, let me just read, let me just understand what this film is all about. And I was very surprised with the findings of what actually happened, because none of us were aware. And it's not just this generation that needs to know, but it's also my generation. We were as unaware as any child today who's probably like 10, 12. They'll not know what happened, or they must have heard of it from their parents. It trickles down, but you don't know what the absolute truth is. So the idea was, and I don't think there have been many films talking about this incident. I think it takes a lot of courage to be a part of a film like this. And I think Vikrant had that, and then I had it. Because he had it, so I had it. Like, I think I took it from him. Okay, chalo ye kar raha hai, so I think
too generous.
no, but that's a fact. Like, the reason I signed it was because Vikrant signed it, and also because when we spoke to Ekta, also she was like, trust us guys. Like, this is the research that has gone into it, and I think 6 to 8 months of, and I saw a lot of pictures. I saw a lot of their research. And I was like, I was so unaware of all this. And if I was so unaware, then my friends, my family, everybody needs to know. And it's piqued interest of a lot of people, because they're like, oh, we want to know what happened. And now because you're associated with it, or even if Vikrant is associated with it, we want to know now, we want to watch this film. So we are also hoping, as Vikrant said, that people see it from the lens of humanity and don't divide it in, oh, this, maybe taking this path or that path. Just see the film and then we'll talk, we'll have more discussions about it. But I'm pretty sure that there's no agenda here. It's just projecting the truth as is.
Riddhi, you have had growing up in the politics. And I think that could be an advantage for someone like you who's an actor also. थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा awareness शायद होगी. Did that, I don't know if, too many fans know this, but Arun Jaitley is your uncle, okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did that shape your sort of perception of this time in our country?
Even my grandfather was a minister in Jammu and Kashmir. But I think, not as an actor, I think as an actor, it's actually a very bad thing. I'll be very honest. Because when you're a female actor, you're supposed to dumb yourself down. जो मेरे लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, बट आई थिंक अवेयरनेस से एक ये चीज़ हुई है, व्हेन यू आर ग्रोइंग अप फर्स्टली तो आप रियलाइज ही नहीं करते कि आपको अवेयरनेस मिल रही है, आपको बस बहुत सारे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यूज ही दिखते हैं ना, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट फॉर्मिंग योर ओन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू एट दैट टाइम, सो यू आर जस्ट कॉन्स्टेंटली सीइंग कि कौन क्या बात कर रहा है, या ये चीज़ कितनी हैवी थी, ओ माई गॉड दूसरे दिन ये तो लाइट हो गई, अब कुछ और हैवी हो गया, यू नो. सो आई थिंक this movie actually, when I was shooting for it and when we were doing the scenes and talking about the scenes, the one thing that I took away, learnt, was the dance of perspective that happens around truth. Oh, it's beautiful, you know. आज ये सही है, कल ट्रूथ वही है, लेकिन उसको इस तरीके से आप कुछ सालों बाद देखेंगे. That's why today in our lifetime history is changing, because हमारे you know, the newer generation, our perspectives are more open, we are looking at the world, at our own lives from a very different perspective than our previous generation did. So वो मैंने सीखा कि जो एक पर्सपेक्टिव है, यू नो, हाउ टू बी नॉन जजमेंटल एंड जस्ट हैव अ पर्सपेक्टिव एंड से, यू नो, दिस इज, यू नो, अ फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन हैड सेड दिस कि जब भी कोई आर्ग्यूमेंट होता है ना, देयर आर ओनली टू थिंग्स, एंड आई थिंक that's actually a fact, which is, one is what is the truth, and one is this is your perspective and this is my perspective. That's it. There is no other reason to have a disagreement in any conversation or anything, and that's what this film, because the way he and I play in the film, और बातें वही हैं लेकिन बातों को कैसे कहा जा रहा है बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, यू नो. और वो आपको you can see that play happening, you know, so you're not being fed anything, you're seeing everything as is.
Yeah, absolutely. The fear always is that a piece of art can be weaponized, right? And that is usually the fear for artists. कि यार हमने अपने best intentions के साथ कोई काम किया, हमने, because you put your name, not just your name, your time, your physical effort to go on the set and create a film, because film एक दिन में नहीं बनती. You have to live with that film and what it's saying for a period of at least a couple of months. And then your only fear is, I hope the film is not weaponized. Did you ever have to worry about this, Vikrant?
Worry आज भी है, रोहिणी. I'll be very honest about it. You know, like the way we started off, कि is this film with any tilt? अब वो एक हमारा second nature बन गया है. चाहे वो आर्ट हो या चाहे वो कोई भी चीज़ हो, हम उसको उस नज़रिए से देखने लग गए. चिंता होती है कि लोग उसको अपने प्री-कंसीव्ड नोशंस के साथ देखेंगे.
बिल्कुल.
But coming back to this thing, you know, I'm pretty confident of the fact when you go out there, when you give your time to this film and when you walk out of it, we are hopeful that you see the film for what it is, because it is based on facts. We are hopeful that आज भी इंसानियत कहीं ना कहीं बची है. I am at least hopeful of the fact कि आज भी कहीं ना कहीं इतनी इंसानियत तो है कि हम जात मजहब के बियॉन्ड जाके हम एक दूसरे को एक इंसान के तौर पे लेते हैं. Another thing which I would want to add here is कि, you know, हमारा एक जो white man syndrome है, you know, with regards to 9/11, it shaped global politics.
बिल्कुल.
9/11 पे, and because cinema is such an influential medium, or any form of art, चाहे वो literature हो या चाहे वो cinema हो या कुछ भी हो, 9/11 पे दुनिया भर की फिल्में बनी हैं. पर्ल हार्बर पे दुनिया भर की फिल्में बनी. हमारे यहाँ पे एक पर्सपेक्टिव है कि हम उन सेंसिटिव चीज़ों के बारे में अपनी कला के जरिए बात नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज इट माइट बी वेपनाइज्ड और इट माइट बी सीन थ्रू अ लेंस. Isn't it so sad?
It
is actually, you know, they say that if any society starts bashing up art, that's the end of humanity.
That's the end of it.
Because art actually is
It's a mirror.
Art is also like, you know, हम जो अपनी रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में इतनी सर्वाइवल वाली जिंदगियां जीते हैं, especially in our country, art is actually a gift from artists who take all the brokenness and put it in their art and say, you know what, you enjoy it. But अगर हम उसी को जज करने लग जाते हैं और उसी को, you know, we start throwing stones at that, it's a very sad state of civilization. So वो नहीं होना चाहिए. और मैं genuinely यही विश करूँगी कि लोग आएं और फिल्म देखें. And of course everyone has the power now of writing everything behind anonymous, you know, handles, but I think the beauty of storytelling should just be enjoyed for that. You know, जब आप एक किताब पढ़ते हैं, आप थिएटर देखते हैं, स्ट्रीट प्ले देखते हैं, आप पहले से ही नहीं सोच के खड़े हो जाते हैं, अरे स्ट्रीट प्ले में तो सब चिल्लाते हैं, यहाँ पे सब चिल्ला रहे हैं, कोई ना कोई एजेंडा होगा. ऐसा नहीं होता. Some artists are trying to make a point, you hear their point of view and you move on, whether you take it within you or you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Rashi, I must ask you, because you are perhaps in the greatest advantage for amongst us. You have been one of the top stars, okay, in an industry that now we are looking at, saying that, yaar, kaise kar lete hain? It'll be great if you can perhaps tell us, what do you think makes the South, makes just better cinema than we are currently? And I'll be honest with you, it's the truth.
नहीं, I differ. Better तो नहीं.
नहीं,
I
better.
think we're more in touch with grassroots.
No, I'll tell you
She'll
what.
tell us.
I'll tell you.
She should
That's
tell
her
us.
question.
Yeah.
Let's
So when I moved from the north to the south films, I had this perception that south films are all about singing and dancing. That's the perception that all north people had, including me, till I entered the industry. And I realized a lot of these films that are cult films, some of them in 90s, have been remakes of south films, which I didn't know. A lot of music that we hear, a lot of songs that I loved growing up were songs that were remakes of south films. And my mind was blown because I suddenly started watching a lot of Malayalam cinema, I started watching Kannada films, I started watching Tamil films, and I was like, oh my god, we are way back. You know, I realized this 10 years ago that, you know, South cinema hasn't yet reached its potential and hasn't been given that respect that it should have always been given. But it just took a Bahubali for people to start seeing it in a different lens, and then suddenly OTT opened up the space for Malayalam films, where now you're like, oh my god, they have such small budgets, but what
Beautiful
they make
stories.
from that is
Profound
amazing,
stories.
and there's so much we can learn from them, you know. So I have so much regard for that industry, for the southern industry, which has all these 4 major industries.
Rashi, is it the conviction? Like they just have a lot of conviction and
No, I'll tell you what, the conviction's there even in the north. Everyone wants to make good films at the end of the day. Whoever you meet, the languages may differ, but I feel like they're culturally rooted. Now, what I mean by
They're
that is, let's say
grassroots level.
Telugu, when I do Telugu films, the way a girl dresses, the way she talks, like I'll know the languages, I can speak Telugu, I can speak Tamil. So I can tell you from my experience that they are very rooted in their tradition. The way you dress, that there are grassroots like village stories that you'll see. You'll also see larger than life. So people in Telugu films, they love their actors. You know, even directors who grew up to be directors wanted to be directors because they love films. Like वो अपना school छोड़ के they would go खेतों में जाके film लगती थी वो देखते थे. Heroes are larger than life for them. And that's still relevant even today. They are larger than life. They will treat you like God, and you see that in their films. Cinema is truly a reflection of their society. You see Tamil films, you'll see grassroots level, you'll see village films, you'll see all of Dhanush's films, how, I mean, he's amazing as an actor, but you see the versatility through his films. He really brings that culture out in his films. Then even if you take Malayalam cinema, there will be just different kinds of stories, because that audience is not okay with one kind of films. You will not see larger than life actors there. It will not work in Malayalam films. That's rooted in their culture, the way they've been brought up. Now coming to Hindi, where are we rooted in? You know, I just try to understand, okay, where are we rooted in? Which route should we take? Sometimes it also comes with this benefit that you can start making films which cater to all the audience, because Hindi speaking audience is the largest audience technically that we have in India, and we get that. But I think we're just trying to understand what is working and what is not working. But where are we traditionally rooted in is what I'm also trying to understand, because we have Punjabi films, we have Marathi films, but now when you come to the Hindi film industry, where are we rooted in really? And that comes with a benefit, because then you can really experiment with so much stuff. And that's where I feel like actors just need to have that courage of trying different things. So I just feel like we are also at that advantage that, you know, we can try so many different things and try to understand what works. That's what I feel.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that little short TED talk. I really enjoyed about.
Yes.
Before I go, I just want to say once again, I can't wait to watch your film. And I came in, you know, thinking otherwise. And after this conversation, I'm actually, you won my ticket. So I'll be going in to watch Sabarmati Express.
Thank you so much.
Hi guys, I am Vikrant Massey,
Hello guys, this is me, Raashi Khanna.
Hi guys, this is Riddhi Dogra.
and I am on my favorite journalist, Rotalks' new channel.
Please subscribe to Rotalks' new channel,
And you're watching me on Rotalks' new channel, Just to Film Me.
Just to Film Me.
Just to Film Me. Please subscribe.
Just to film me, just to film me.